I'm very pleased to be here in Singapore with Jim Rogers of great fame, and we've been kindly invited to his home here. Thank you, Jim, for accommodating us. What really I've been thinking about is, are you really a brave man? Because you went around the world on a motorcycle, around hostile countries, and then on a yellow Mercedes, and with a lot of elements against you. Were you brave from the beginning? Were you always adventurous when you were young?
I've probably been a fool from the beginning,
Yeah.
from the whole very beginning. And I'm sure someday my children are going to say, we wish he hadn't been adventurous. We wish he'd stayed working.
Yeah.
We'd have more money. But I do remember, even as a teenage boy in a small place, wanting to see more. I knew there was more out there.
Yes.
And I wanted to see it. I don't know why. Most of the people who are in that village never leave. They're quite happy being there. But I knew there was something else, and I wanted to see it and experience it.
You're never afraid, obviously, because of the trips you made, or dangerous trips.
Well, I was afraid all the time, because I knew what could happen.
Yes.
When we got to a new place, the first thing we did was figure out a way to make the vehicle safe, whether it was the motorcycle or the car. That had to be safe, and we knew that. And then we had to worry about us being safe. I was always worried. I always knew that I could get killed, I could get robbed, that bad things could happen. So I tried to be careful. I guess it worked. Here I am.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
You are alive. I always say that, how things. I'm alive. Exactly. I agree with you. We're lucky.
Good
we're
man.
Lucky. At our age, we're more or less the same age, and we're alive.
I am alive, yes. And I hope I'm alive a long time. Yeah. It's a good time to be an old American, not a young American, because the debts and the problems building up in America, my children are going to have to deal with all of that.
No.
I'm not.
No.
I'm going to be gone somewhere.
That's my concern also, of course. I have three girls. You have two, but I have 9 grandchildren up to 21. So there is a big family, and as you say, we've had the biggest part of our lives. That's for certain. If we're lucky, we might have another few years. Who knows? But that's what we wish. I've been, for the last 25 years at least, worried about where the world is going. And it's not going in a direction which looks good in my eyes, and both financially, economically, politically, geopolitically, and even morally. We're seeing the decadence in all these areas. You decided, after having been brave for a long time, you moved to Singapore because it's very safe. I spent part of my time in Switzerland, where we have our business also. And that's probably the safest country in Europe by far.
Probably. Certainly one of, if not the. Yes.
Yeah. And politically, it's the soundest country in Europe also.
We hope.
But, I was born and brought up in Sweden, and I see where Sweden has gone with criminality, and sadly, a number of immigrants that have come in because Merkel opened up Europe, and Sweden opened up its arms and took too many in that they couldn't take care of. It's not the immigrants' fault, it's the government's fault. But the consequences are now high crime, drug wars, shootings every day, etc. So that's the way we see, and England, where I also spent some time, is similar to that, not to the same extent, but is also high crime. But at least here in Singapore, there is a wonderful, actually, country to come to because of the safety. You must feel very safe here.
I feel perfectly safe here. I mean, I could put my children in a taxi in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be more worried, but I feel perfectly safe in Singapore.
Yeah. Tell me, I've been obviously listening to some of your interviews, And we're looking at all these markets, and you seem to like the dollar, and I think the dollar, like all other currencies, is going downhill very fast. Let me tell you, I moved to Switzerland, started working in Switzerland in '69. It was 4 Swiss francs 30 to the dollar.
Yep.
Today it's 90 Swiss cents to the dollar. So that's 80% fall. Then later on, I moved from Switzerland to the UK. It was 10 Swiss francs for £1, and now it's 1.10. Yeah. So obviously that's been your life, part of these currencies, and I've been very interested in them too. But it shows you how mismanaged the world's economy is. But why do you still say the dollar is the best of all currencies?
That's an extremely good question. Just let me go back to the Swiss franc for a minute. The Swiss National Bank now is putting a lot of its reserves in Microsoft, Apple, American growth stocks. I don't know that the Swiss public is aware of that the Swiss franc, when I was a young man, the Swiss franc was gold.
Yeah.
Sound.
Yeah.
Very sound.
Yeah.
Now it's backed by Apple.
Yeah. And foreign exchange exposure, massive foreign exchange exposure.
I would just suggest, and I own some Swiss francs, but I would suggest that the Swiss franc is not what it used to be. Because you and I are not what we used to be either.
Yeah, no.
but the Swiss franc, when I was young, there was nothing sounder than the Swiss franc. But that's not, and I own some now, but that's not the case anymore. As far as Singapore is concerned, Singapore is building up debt too. As the Singapore dollar used to be, it still is extremely sound, but now Singapore has debt. It's building up debt. It has reserves, of course, but there's also debt now. I mean, Japan.
Yeah.
The Japanese yen, when I was a kid, oh my gosh, everybody wanted yen.
Yeah.
But now everybody wants to sell yen. So I don't know, maybe there's a currency I just haven't thought of that's sound.
Oh, there is. You forgot it. Which one?
The North Korean won.
No. Gold, of course.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
There are people who would say that gold is not a currency. Well, I'm not going to have that discussion. I own gold. I own silver.
Yeah.
If I were buying one today, I would buy silver because it's cheaper. I'm not buying either, but I certainly own gold and silver, and I hope I'm smart enough to own more before this is over.
We'll come back to gold and silver a bit, but we know about the currencies, of course. Everybody, I think I was the first one to write about Voltaire about 25 years ago, and his statement about all currencies going to their intrinsic value, which is zero. Voltaire wrote that in 1729.
Did he write that? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
all
Voltaire
currencies will reach its intrinsic value zero. And that's happened throughout history. That happened during the Roman Empire. The denarius went from 100% silver almost to 0%. So it's governments overspend, too much debt, and the currency collapses. So that's without fail throughout history. There's no exception to that. No currency has ever survived. And so since 71, as you know, all currencies are down 97 to 99% against gold. So it's only 1 to 3% to go, but that 1 to 3% is, of course, 100% from here, and I think that's where we are going. And I think it's going to accelerate now, even.
Well, as you pointed out, it's always happened.
Yeah.
No currency has survived.
Yeah.
And I don't see any reason that none I know now will survive. Yeah. So, sure.
Sadly, but governments never tell the people, of course, what's happening to their money, and people think that prices are going up, which they're not, as we both know. But no, I was just wondering, because I don't see, I took a simple decision around the turn of the century say that all my spare money or liquid assets, investment assets, are going into gold outside the banking system. And we advised others to do the same for the simple reason that governments are always on your side. They will always work hard to destroy your currency and therefore make gold just stable purchasing power, nothing else. Gold doesn't go up, but the currencies go down. So therefore, if you have the government on your side, you can't lose. There are periods of time when the gold doesn't go in the right direction, but over time, since every currency has died and gold has survived, it must be a pretty safe bet.
I own gold, I own silver, and I've certainly, my wife asked me, do we sell it? And I said, no, if I die, it's for the kids.
Yeah.
You tell them not to sell it, just own it.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen, but I do know I want some gold and I want some silver, and I have both.
Yeah. But that history, of course, which no politician studies, or if they do, they ignore it totally.
Of course.
Because they always think, because I'm here today, it's different.
They think they're smarter than history.
Yeah.
If they know history,
yeah.
they think they're smarter than history.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So therefore, everyone commits the same mistake. And of course, in the end, when you fail with your country's economy and finances, the only way you can then try to win an election is to buy votes.
Yes. Well, you also blame the foreigners.
Yeah.
All politicians, when there are problems, blame the foreigners.
Yes.
It's not you. You're a good Swiss.
Yeah.
A good Swede, or whatever you are.
Yeah.
It's the foreigners.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Yeah. We decided 25 years ago to go heavily into gold. It's been okay. It's been up, depending on the currency, 7, 8, 9 times. And you don't have to buy and sell and make decisions every day because government does it for you. They work for you, destroying the currency, printing money. And over time, gold reflects that. Of course, it's not instant gratification. You can't buy today and make money tomorrow. Gold, if you mistime it, for example, you take everyone who writes about gold, every ignorant journalist or analyst who writes about gold always starts in 1980, January 1980.
Really?
Yeah, they say, look at gold, useless investment. It's gone from 800 and then down to 250. So if they want to because nobody understands gold. Nobody understands gold. And therefore, that's the framework they look at gold from. But you obviously decided 20, 25 years ago, or maybe
more,
to go into commodities.
Well, I bought my first gold long before that.
Yes.
I actually bought my first gold in 1971.
Yeah.
You were still a child.
Yeah. 3 years younger. Yeah.
That's when I bought my first gold, and I still have it.
Yeah.
I've never sold any of my gold.
No. Yeah, that's correct.
I sometimes give some away as a gift, but I still have basically all my gold and all my silver.
But on the commodities side, you do agriculture commodities, all commodities. I mean, it's been a pretty tough market for the last 20 years, hasn't it?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about gold, no. Or oil?
Yeah.
No, oil's been fine.
Oil is black gold, isn't it? I mean, more or less, if you see the charts together, they're very close together.
I mean, oil is the biggest commodity, and it's done pretty well.
Yeah, oil is fantastic, yes.
In the last several years.
You can't store it in your cellar, though. That's the problem.
I wish I could, but I do not. You're right.
Yeah.
I wish I could store uranium.
Yeah.
But that's dangerous. So
true. But coming back to the commodity cycle, so I'm excluding gold and silver here, or the precious metals, if you want. I'm talking about agricultural commodities, for example. And so you've been in that for quite a while. You haven't quite been rewarded as much as you will be in the future.
Well, I've been investing in commodities for a long time, but I'm not always long commodities. I mean, I know that there are cycles.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, just go back and look and you will see. There have been big cycles in everything. especially commodities. I mean, sugar's had huge ups and downs. Everything has had huge ups and downs. Microsoft has had huge ups and downs.
But you're a good trader. Are you catching
I
this?
am a terrible trader. I'm probably the worst trader in the world, and I don't try. The way I invest, partly because I'm lazy, is I like to find something that I can own for many years. And I own it for many years. Gold. I still have my first gold that I bought in 1971. I don't like to trade. Trading is work and expensive. So if you trade something, you have to pay taxes, if nothing else. Especially if you make a profit, you have to pay taxes. And if you make a loss, you pay your own taxes. So I don't like being a trader. I don't trade much. I prefer to find something that I can buy and own forever. That's not always the case, but that's what I like.
I agree with that. Of course, yes, what we did in 2002. Bought gold, and as you say, I never touched it. It just increased the holding. So it's a very simple investment. You don't have to, you can walk away, never worry about it. You don't have to look at the price. You know, the government is there working every day, night, destroying the currency for you, and you have to do nothing. But of course, now we're getting to a stage also when actually the acceleration of money printing and of debt is starting, which means that, as I see it, gold is now into, and silver even more so, into an acceleration phase. The real move in gold and silver is still to come. And I think it's not far away either. Do you agree with that?
Well, I do, and it's an interesting point because my wife the other day said, well, how do I sell it? Do I sell it? And I said, no, you don't ever sell it unless, there's that kind of spike. I said, you should never, she's younger than I am, and my kids are obviously younger. I said, just never sell it unless there's some kind of explosion or something. Otherwise, own it forever. That's my plan with gold and silver. And by the way, I just might want to make a comment. You say that the politicians are working every day to debase the currency or whatever you put it. They're not that smart. They just want the easy way. And they're not smart enough to know, we can debase the currency. They wouldn't know what that means. They want the easy way, borrow more money and spend more money.
I never said they were aware of the fact that they were doing it.
Well, okay. They're not very smart people. That's why they work for the government.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but they're wonderful partners, I think, especially when you're looking at gold. They're the best partners you can have. And they're always there for you.
It's all hidden away somewhere. Yes. And I know where it is.
Yeah. Obviously, so we store gold for our clients in Singapore, which is a wonderful place, store it, and of course, but the main part we have in Switzerland, which we still think of as very safe, and as I said, probably the best political system in Europe, Switzerland. And therefore, and we are not afraid of the Russians invading Western Europe. They never have, and I don't think they have any ambition to come into Western Europe. Bigger chance that there'll be nuclear bombs come flying over.
They haven't had to. Western Europe invades them.
Yes, absolutely.
Foolishly.
It started with one of my home countries, Charles XII. He did it in 1709, and the Battle of Poltava. He lost to Peter the Great.
Speaking of which, I would literally like to meet Mr. Hitler, because I would like to say to him, how could you have been so stupid? I mean, you knew what happened to Napoleon. Napoleon invaded Russia, and you know the story. How could you have been so stupid as to invade Russia? Maybe just because he's really stupid, I don't know. I never met him. But I cannot imagine that anybody would be so stupid. Including Mr. Hitler.
No, absolutely. But sadly now, those wars you can't win wars with boots on the ground anymore. And now, sadly, there'll be drones or there'll be missiles flying above us instead. And that's the risk for the world, of course. But coming back to gold, and so I see, and I watch it fundamentally, obviously, primarily fundamentally, but technically, gold looks incredibly good now. And as we know, we told our clients stay away from silver most of the time. We said because it's too volatile. If it's not for widows and orphans, silver. And if you want to sleep well at night, don't hold silver. But now, with the ratio still above 80, gold-silver ratio, we think silver is a fantastic investment today, or at least short-term speculation. At some point, when silver catches up with the ratio comes down, probably turn it into gold again. But that's maybe at the ratio between 30 and 15, not at 80.
Well, I'm not smart enough to try to trade them actively, but I do know that silver is down 50% from its all-time high, and gold is making an all-time high. So if I were buying one today, I would buy silver.
Well, I always say forecasting is a mug's game, but sometimes we're all mugs.
Well, I mean, I don't look at gold and silver quite that way. I look at this as things that I'm going to own forever.
I agree with you. Totally.
And my children are going to own my gold and my silver forever, I hope.
No, that's our policy, totally yours. I'm just saying now, if you want to take a little bit of your gold and turn it into silver, because for the next move, I mean, silver is definitely, well, there's nothing definite, but it's probably, most probably, going to reach, go above $50 in the next move.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
No, I know that.
And maybe into hundreds of dollars, who knows?
Well, that's why I said if I were buying one today, I would buy silver. I don't see gold going as high percentage-wise on the next move as silver, but I'm not a good trader.
Do you look at price forecast? If you take gold, do you actually make projections for yourself on where gold is likely to reach in the next phase or not?
Well, maybe when I was 20 or 30 or 40, I did, but I'm smart enough now to know I don't know, except I know that both are going to go much higher in my lifetime, and certainly in my children's lifetime. They're both going to go much higher. How? I don't know. I know the all-time high on silver was 50 US.
Yeah, twice.
I'm sure it'll go there again. Maybe even in my lifetime. But
I think so. It could be even this year. Technically, it looks like it could be even this year. But it doesn't matter because the trend is so clear now. But the longer term, I agree with you. It's gold is the commodity to hold longer term for your children. Silver is more opportunistic right now. But and also forecasting anything, whether especially gold or silver, there's no purpose in forecasting with a price target, because you measure it in paper currency that's being destroyed on a daily basis. So it serves no. Tell me what the dollar is worth when you think gold is going to reach 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000. What's the dollar worth then? Well, that's the only thing. Better if we measure it in chickens or cows.
Cows are more valuable. Yes. But the U.S. dollar, or I should say, no currency has lasted forever.
No.
The U.S. dollar is already. The U.S. is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world already. Mm-hmm. The debt's going higher every day. Mm. Politicians aren't smart enough. They just know it's easy. Print some more and spend some more and borrow some more, spend it. So the dollar's going to continue. No currency has lasted forever. Mm-hmm. 100 years is a long time. 150 is fine. And the U.S. dollar has been around for a long time. And I don't see that the U.S. dollar will survive my children's lifetime.
No.
And it's not because the politicians in Washington know what they're doing. They just want the easy way.
Exactly. And you've got history on your side when you make that forecast. Totally.
Well, and one of the things going for you and me is politicians don't know history.
No.
And they think they're smarter than history, even if they know history. So they think, don't worry. We had a president recently in America. He didn't know history, and he thought he was smarter than history. So.
Yeah, sadly. But when you talk about history, we are now in a phase which looks globally more dangerous than I can ever imagine that has existed in history before, because it's global. You have virtually every nation in the world is indebted to an extent that can never be repaid, except for with fake money, printed money that will be worthless, as we said. And therefore, the inevitable result of what's happening now, as I see it, is obviously collapse of the debt system, collapse of the currency system, and of course, as bonds collapse, so will all the assets that bonds and debt is backing also. So stock markets, property markets, they will come down dramatically too. So that's okay. The world has gone through that before on a smaller basis, like a country, Argentina or Hungary, whatever can go under. But we never had the world before. There's no one to save the rest of the world anymore. And China is certainly, China is indebted too, but at least they can solve that internally. You are a China expert, not me, but that's the way I see it. My view is that, and then you have the geopolitical side that you can't forecast. The US wants war now, in my view, but not enough to start a war, but they don't want Russia to win whatever battle that there is now. If you look at, we come back to where we started almost about our children and grandchildren. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a great optimist about the world. You have a good life, we have a good life, and we have happy families, etc. But for the world, and therefore we are part of the world, we cannot live here in Singapore or Switzerland in isolation. We'll be part of the world, and whatever is going to happen. So, what do you tell your children, except for learning Chinese?
Well, they do speak Chinese, because I thought in their lifetime it's important for them to know Chinese. And so far that's turned out to be right. But I have explained to my wife and therefore to my children, when you find the gold, don't sell it. Mm-hmm. When you find the silver, don't sell it. Mm-hmm. Just let that be part of the furniture. Mm-hmm. Let that be part of something that's there always, because no matter what happens, if there's a crisis, the gold and silver will be worth something. Mm. And maybe you have to pay a border guard. He will take silver. He will take gold. He will take gold if you got to escape. So always have some gold and silver. And I don't know if they're listening. I don't know if 40 years from now they will remember it at all. But I hope so. And I certainly have enough gold and silver so that they should remember not to sell it.
No, absolutely right. And of course, the people who don't understand gold, and as we know, there's only 0.5% of world financial assets in gold, which is just amazing. And when you speak to most people that they don't understand gold. Of course, it's been so easy to make money in the stock market or in property market, whatever it is. Nobody needed even to look at gold from a wealth preservation point of view. And they will all buy gold too late, of course. And at that point, at the same time, they will compete with central banks, the BRICS countries. And of course, central banks are not going to keep any dollar reserves anymore after what US did to Russia. And they will move their reserves most probably into gold totally, and that's probably happening already now. And therefore, as we both know, you can only produce 3,000 to 3,500 tons of gold a year. And whatever the demand is, you can't produce more. So that has to come out, any increased demand has to come out of existing stock, and nobody will want to sell. So the only way to satisfy a higher demand for gold is through a higher price, of course. And you get a lot less quantity. I agree with you that it's good for our children to understand the value of gold. And of course, the best is, which I'm sure you've done, and we've done too, you let your children and grandchildren have skin in the game. you give them some gold. But you get this argument from other people who don't understand it. Well, what's the purpose of gold? You can't eat it, can you? Can't eat it. When there's a crisis, you can't eat it. What they don't understand is that when in every period of crisis in the world, gold has always been money.
You don't have to tell me. I know that.
No,
But
we're trying to educate a wider audience.
hold on, I'm going to get some silver.
Yeah, oh, very good.
I just want to, I own both, and I understand everything. I think I understand everything you said. But remember, silver has been money more than gold.
Yes.
Throughout history.
Yeah.
The American monetary system, when it was established, was silver, based on silver. 100 years later, it was changed to gold and silver. But I mean, Christ was sold for 30 pieces of silver.
Yeah.
He wasn't sold for gold.
No.
He was sold for silver.
Yeah.
So many countries in the world have been silver standard more than gold standard in history.
Yeah.
So I own both.
Yeah.
And it has been 100 years.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So, Jim, we've touched upon mainly problems in the world because that's what we're facing now, and bigger problems than probably most people have seen during the history of mankind on a global basis. At the same time, you do what you can to protect yourself and your family against problems, like you've done here with living in Singapore. I live in Switzerland, and then we think gold and silver will protect us. But at the end of the day, as I see the world, there's only one. Once you've done everything to protect yourself, the best things in life are free.
Yes, I agree.
But it obviously presupposes that you have a roof over your head and enough food. But you take family and friends, I think, is number one, and for me, that's everything.
Yes, family and friends. Have some gold in the closet.
Exactly.
Have some silver under the bed.
That's the first condition. But then, of course, you have nature, books, music, etc. And we don't need this capitalistic or material society where we adore the golden calf, and that's why the world has gone wrong also, of course. But that happens at the end of these extreme eras, like the Roman Empire. So from that point of view, I feel optimistic, because you have to be optimistic to live.
Well, yes, or you would be dead if you're darn optimistic. But you still have to figure out a way to protect yourself if other people do crazy things.
Yeah.
If the President of the United States doesn't believe in history and thinks he can destroy other countries, you have to be aware of that. And you have to figure out what to do if and when that happens. And you live in a very safe country, you hope and you think. But, of course, I know in the Second World War, the Swiss were terrified that the Germans were going to come marching in.
Rightly so.
They hid all the stuff in the caves, in the mountains, because they were afraid that the Germans would come and grab it.
Swedes the same.
Well, everybody should have been the same, because there was a possibility. And the Russians, the Russians have been invaded a couple of times. And they know, well, everybody knows who's read history, that things can happen and will happen. And you and I and everybody else needs to have a way to protect yourself. I own silver, I own gold. Maybe there's something else, but that's what I have right now.
So where would you move if there were problems, China, Taiwan, in this region here? Singapore will be exposed. There'll be an American naval bases here, etc. Where would you live then? South America?
Well, that's a very good question. And if things happen the way you just described, America's going to be bombed. There are going to be bombs going off, whether they're from planes or missiles or internal guys going in. I will tell you a story that I've heard all my life. It may be apocryphal, but in 1938, there was a guy in Paris who said, it's all going to come to an end. He got out his globe. He found a small island in the South Pacific,
Yes.
And he moved there
Yeah.
to escape
Yeah.
the massive destruction that he saw coming.
Yeah.
The name of that island was Guadalcanal,
Yes.
the site of the longest and bloodiest battle
Yeah.
in the Pacific
Yeah.
War.
Yeah.
So no matter how smart you are,
Yes.
you might get it wrong.
Yeah.
Don't move to Guadalcanal. If the Germans are coming into Paris, Guadalcanal is not the answer. And I don't have an answer. It's an extremely good question. I can name possibilities. There are a couple of countries in Africa that would probably survive, a couple in South America that would possibly survive, but I remember Guadalcanal.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is there must be something somewhere in every country that somebody wants.
Yes.
And no matter how smart you are, be sure you find the right place.
Yeah, I wish we were that smart, but no one is, and therefore you need in life a bit of luck too. You do your planning, but then you have to be a bit lucky too. And we are lucky. You and I, we've been lucky. And as Gary Player said, Gary Player you're of the same generation. So he was a South African golf player, if people don't know. And everybody said, how lucky he was, and he said, obviously, it's funny that the harder I work and the harder I train, the luckier I am.
Yes.
And that's the thing. And then you have to leave it to destiny. If you're unlucky, you're unlucky. We've had a good life anyway, and we wish our children to have the same.
You're exactly right. No matter how much preparation, how much diligence you do, something can still go wrong. And it often does. Yeah. So,
Jim, it's been a pleasure to meet you. I did phone you many years ago, but at the same time you dropped a cup of coffee on the telephone, and then that finished quickly. So
well, I hope to see you in Switzerland.
Please
I hope
come.
it remains a safe and sound country. I see that it's going the other way after many decades. Let's hope that Switzerland stays safe and sound.
Yes, well, the same here. So I wish you all the best, Jim.
Thank you. I would just say to you, there's a saying, many societies have the saying that families go from rags to rags in 3 generations.
Yeah.
Singapore is going into its 4th generation now. So let's hope that it's not going to happen to Singapore. But history shows that it often does.
Yeah.
Because the new generation doesn't remember some of the lessons from the old generation. It doesn't matter which country, when in history, have always been problems like that. And I hope things stay sound in Switzerland.
Well, so do I for you here. Otherwise, please, you're welcome to Switzerland anytime. I will see to it that
No, the Swiss at times, as you well know, have closed down.
Yes.
You cannot buy the currency. Yeah. You cannot invest. Yeah. No, the Swiss know that they're in a very strong position.
Yes.
That everybody wants Switzerland.
Yes.
So, Austria, Liechtenstein, maybe there are other places.
It's good to have some good friends in the right area. So, we'll do what we can if you come.
Well, I mean, I'm not I told you about the guy in Guadalcanal.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
You can find the safest place in the world, and something can still go wrong.
Yeah. In the meantime, in spite of having talked about a lot of problems in the world, we're optimists at heart, and we enjoy life.
I certainly do. I've had fun so far, and I'm still going to buy gold and silver.
Same with me. Thanks very much, Jim. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
And to talk to you. And please come and visit us in Switzerland.
I will.
Thank you.
I'll go and see where the gold is hidden.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the safest vault in the world and the biggest gold vault in the world in the Swiss Alps.
In the Alps.
In the Alps. It's good.
Well, I know in the Second World War that the banks moved a lot of their gold.
Yeah, there are a few vaults in
mountains.
Switzerland, but this is actually built during the Cold War. So this is the biggest private gold vault in the world, and the safest. You've got 10 security zones, and it's like.
Who owns it?
So there's partners of ours who own a private.
Well, why do you say it's the safest?
because you will come and I'll show you. There are 10 security zones, and you go. The final one is going 100 meters up in the mountain in a very small lift, which you have to get out the same way with your gold. So it's nuclear bomb proof. It's gas attack proof. It's a unique place, and obviously it's got all backup of everything. Transformers, water, etc. You can live there if you want, but not a very pleasant, because it also filters all the air, etc. So it's got.
And you have gold and silver.
No silver. Silver is too expensive to store there because of the, but gold, only
yes,
gold.
yes.
Yeah, silver we're storing or in here. So that next time come and I'll show you that. It's a real James Bond experience.
Right.
So,
right. I guess North Korea is probably safe, but I'm not going there.
No, I didn't. They probably will take care of your gold when they need it. Thank you, James. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.